Emotions are the most difficult terrain to navigate for us humans here on earth. I'm sure you all will agree with me. You know, when we have those difficult feelings, when we have that anger towards someone, when we have that resentment or bitterness towards someone, or even bitterness towards life, and we don't know how to deal with it. We feel this strong negative reaction, and if we express it, of course we get reprimanded by life, by other people, and if we keep it inside, we suffer. So it is very important to understand why emotions happen. You see, we are first feeling beings before we are human beings. And if we understand that, everything works through our feelings. When you have a good feeling with someone, you create a relationship with that person, you do business with that person, you create great things with that person. And when you have a bad feeling towards someone, it's the opposite. You create separation, you distance from each other, you try to destroy the other person, you try to take revenge, all these things that happen. Everything happens because of how we are being and feeling internally. So to solve this problem of difficult emotions, what we have created is this thing we call spirituality, where a lot of modern gurus and spiritual teachers and masters are telling you how to escape your emotions, basically. Be love, be peace, give love to everybody, and they are not directly addressing the issue of difficult emotions. So what they are teaching you is more like a spiritual bypass, where you bypass your difficult emotions, you bypass your negative emotions, and then you are walking on eggshells. You cannot express anything, because even the slightest negative or anger reaction meets you with rejection and resistance. So and these spiritual people, mostly I have seen, who have rejected all their emotions or difficult feelings, and they have just like gone directly onto love, that then those difficult feelings, those difficult emotions come out through the back door. Like, to give you an example, I have actually seen like really loving, kind, spiritual people who are practicing these meditations and these loving practices on a daily basis, connecting with the groups, doing these basically escaping their difficult emotions. Then when they come home, that anger comes out on their kids, that frustration that they experience from the outside world, that they cannot express to the outside world, because they have to be loving and kind and peaceful and generous and helpful. Then they come home and they are the most cruel or unkind to the people who love them the most. Then they express all their frustration, all their anger, or are just indifferent or never there for the other person. And I have seen first-hand example, or anybody who tries to come close to them bears the brunt of their anger, whereas they have this outside face to the world that they are a very loving, kind being. So what is happening here? It's not that they are bad people. They are really trying, genuinely, they are trying to be nice, to be loving, to be caring. And that's what the modern spirituality is teaching us. But in the process, they are escaping their difficult emotions, their unhealed issues that come up. Maybe they can come up as anger or grief or or other kinds of difficult emotions, frustration, or sometimes even people take subtle revenge. They will never say it, they will never tell you that they are taking revenge, but somewhere inside, that thing is there, because they cannot express their frustration with you, or they cannot express their anger with you, because expressing a difficult emotion is considered to be bad. So we have to understand where these difficult emotions come from. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say, as a child, while growing up, every time you tried to get your parents' attention, you went to them, but they were too busy to attend to you. So either they gave you a toy, they bought you a cell phone or a video game to keep you distracted while they could do their work. So somewhere you caused that to mean that you are not lovable, that your presence is not appreciated, and over time you created this coping mechanism where you feel that your presence is not appreciated, that you are not good enough, that you are not lovable. And you grew up with this false belief because your parents didn't have time for you. Now imagine you are an adult. You've started working, you've started earning your own money and everything, but everywhere, at your workplace, in your personal relationships, you are never valued for who you really are, and you cannot express who you really are, because the moment you try to express your true self, either the other person leaves or you meet with rejection. Now, when you have this over and over again, you start developing feelings of anger, that other people are bad, that they are not there for me, they are not listening to me, or sometimes even worse, you say, I am bad, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, and then you shut down or you hide your true aspects. Now, this is actually coming from that childhood wounding where you grew up believing that you, who you are, is not lovable, is not good enough. And maybe you tried to do everything that your parents wanted you to do to please them, to be in their good books, so to get that validation, to get that approval, because at that time when you were a child, your survival depended on them. And now that you're grown up, you don't depend on them anymore for your survival. You still carry those beliefs about yourself that you told yourself when you were a child. So this is when those difficult emotions show up. To give you an instance, let's say you make a new friend, and that friend, comes into your life, or a new relationship, and but how you show up in that connection is that you have this underlying belief that I'm not good enough, that my presence is not lovable. So what happens is that you show up in that connection by absenting yourself, like you are never there emotionally, you are never present in that connection emotionally, you never express yourself, you never show your vulnerability, you never show that you need that other person, and the other person is like a mirror to your inner vibration, to your inner beliefs. So other person reflects that. The other person thinks, okay, you don't need me, you don't want me, you don't want to share yourself, fine, then I will let you be in your own world and I will do my things. And then here you are again, you recreate that childhood story and you feel invalidated, unloved, uncared for, and things like that. So your emotions are actually your internal compass. They're your guidance system. They are telling you when you have this bad feeling, when you have this bad emotion, it's not because the other person is bad. It's because how you are showing up in that connection, and you are showing up as that wounded child from the past who has not received that presence, that love, that bonding from your parents, and you are trying to get that in your adult relationships from other people, but they are again treating you just like how your parents thought were treating you, you know. And then you start to think that this other person is bad because this other person is never there for you. So oftentimes those difficult emotions are a feedback of how we are showing up in our reality. You know, we form these beliefs like, I am unsupported by life, I am unloved, like, you know, who I am, if I show that to other people, they will not love me, you know. So most people, we are hiding under this mask. We show this self to the world that is not even our true selves. We develop these fake personalities, and then you know, we don't understand when we get hurt. We get hurt, and then we create resentment, we create bitterness, we create anger, because we cannot show our true selves to the other person. And if we cannot show our true selves to someone else, we can never expect to have true love or true bonding, because we all want to experience intimacy, connection, bonding in a relationship. But what is intimacy? Intimacy literally means into me, see inside of me and love me for who I am. But we are afraid to show our true selves to the other person. If we are hiding and we are not expressing our true selves, then we can never experience that true intimacy with that other person. And relationships are like a mirror. We are most attracted to the people who bring out our unhealed aspects, you know. And we don't know we are carrying these painful beliefs inside us. We are not consciously aware of it, because somewhere in childhood we caused that parent's absence to mean that we are not lovable, or that we are not good enough, you know. And it happened at a subconscious level. It didn't happen, you didn't say to yourself consciously that I am not lovable, that I am not good enough. It happened over and over, and as you grew up, that belief became stronger and stronger and stronger. And then you experience this frustration with all your relationships. It can be at your workplace, it can be your boss who never sees the hard work that you're putting, you know, who never appreciates you for what you're doing, or you are overgiving, you are doing too much to please the other person in the connection. And that way you are abandoning yourself. You are, you know, you are overgiving because you don't believe that just your presence is good enough to be loved. I'm not saying you should stop giving in relationships, because give and take are part of any relationship, right? But again, that give and take should be balanced. It should not be like only giving, because then over time you will create resentment. And it should not be only taking, then you are taking the power away from the other person. You are not being fair, you are not giving your love to the other person, and it's a very toxic dynamic in that connection. So what is the solution to this? Like, how can we deal with our negative emotions? Definitely not by escaping them or bypassing them, you know, because when you do that, you escape and bypass your difficult emotions, then you actually push them deeper into your subconscious. The reason those unhealthy or difficult emotions are coming up is because they want to be healed. You know, they are showing you what is your truth in this moment. If you are feeling angry, you are feeling angry. You cannot hide your feelings. You can hide from others, but you cannot hide from yourself. So those emotions are like a message. They are your internal guidance talking to you. Hey, look, you are getting angry, but you know, you are not showing it to other people, and you are hiding it. And over time, when you keep suppressing that anger, or you keep invalidating your own feelings and emotions, you can contract illnesses, like you can get diabetes by suppressing your anger and you're not dealing with it. You can get cancer from unresolved, unhealed childhood traumas. So all diseases are a manifestation of our unhealed emotions and feelings that we are not willing to deal with. Even heart diseases, over time you have hardened your heart, the emotional heart, and then you get heart diseases. So every disease manifests from a mind that is not at ease. So you have to understand that, on one hand, it is great to have your spiritual practices, meditate, and, connect with your higher self, with your higher guidance, develop your intuition and everything. On the other hand, you should not just keep escaping and bypassing your difficult emotions, because then they will come out as blind spots. So when you are feeling a difficult emotion, let's say you are feeling angry at someone or something, I will not say that go and express that anger, go explode. That can also give you a heart attack if it is, too strong. And it can cause destruction in the relationship. But if you cannot, like, if you can find a friend uh, uh, um, who will be there for you, to whom you can express and take out these feelings, these negative emotions when they're coming up, that's great. But if you don't find anybody to be there for you, to listen to you, sometimes we find ourselves so alone that we feel like nobody understands us and we cannot express it. Then my suggestion is that express it to yourself. Look at it. What is it telling you about you? Why are you having that anger? Yes, that person treated you badly. How did you show up that caused that person to treat you badly? Were you too nice and too giving that you missed the red flags in the connection? Or were you on the other extreme, where you were like too disconnected, too disconnected from your true self, that made the other person treat you like that? It today, nowadays, I'm seeing, like, in a lot of social media groups, Facebook groups and all, people are always blaming others, like others are bad. Everybody, we live in a bad world, but a lot of it, the way life is showing up for us, is how it is a direct reflection of what is going on inside of us. And despite trying to be a good person, despite trying to be kind and empathic and loving and generous and helpful to others, people still treat you badly. And then that at some place you are abandoning your true feelings, your true emotions. You are not being authentic in the connection. It is okay to get angry. If you look at a young child, like babies or little kids, they are so loving and friendly. They want to love everybody. But when they get angry, they will show it. A kid in its natural state, they will express that frustration and then it's gone. But what happens is, when we suppress that and when we say, don't do this, this is not good, that's when that kid develops these unresolved issues, because now he has to suppress everything and he is not able to be authentic and his true self. And then that kid can grow up with a lot of emotional problems, addictions, and destructive behavior, and psychopaths, sociopaths, things like that. So I definitely wouldn't recommend that you escape your emotions. Be there with yourself. Don't try, when you are having a difficult feeling, a negative emotion, do not distract yourself with a smoke, with alcohol, with drugs, or with TV, or just hanging out with friends without addressing that issue. Because if you don't, it keeps festering inside of you, and then comes out in very toxic ways. So this is the collective shadow of humanity that we are not yet ready or willing to take a look at, that what is going on inside of ourselves is actually being reflected in the external world. So uh, please be kind and generous and loving to yourself. When you have a difficult feeling or a difficult emotion, try to stay with it. Stay with that feeling and see, what is it trying to tell me at this moment. Maybe you will pass a very intense emotional night of all these difficult feelings, but in the morning it would have left your system and you would feel like a new you, ready to take on the challenges of the next day. Uh, I do this often because I also go through intense emotional phases in my own life, a lot of childhood issues that I'm still working on. And, before I also used to escape them with a positive thought, oh, I shouldn't feel negative, I shouldn't feel angry. And after a certain time, I realized uh, um, that my needs are never getting met, and I am always uh, meeting other people's needs. And that made me angry, because when I needed other people, they would never be there for me, whereas I was always there for everybody. And then I realized how I was showing up. Like, I would never express my vulnerabilities, I would never express that I need someone, because I felt that expressing my need to someone is wrong. It will push them away, and that's what kept happening. So that made me angry, that they are bad. They are not seeing my pain, they are not seeing my suffering, but they are not seeing it because I'm not showing it to them. I'm putting on this mask, So I think it is important for all of us to accept who we are and approve of it. We all have our low moments, we all have our high moments in life, and that's what makes life beautiful. Those bittersweet memories. We don't want only sweet, 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 sweet. Then we will get diabetes. So we have to be more mature when we are dealing with not just our own emotions but also with others' emotions, that we stop negating people's feelings, and we say, okay, that is a valid emotion, that is a valid feeling. How can we work around it, or how can we transcend it? So like anger, you can channel it, you can transcend it towards something more creative. Maybe you cannot go to that person and who is the cause of your anger, who you believe is the cause of your anger, and express that anger. So instead of that, you can stay with yourself and you can say that, okay, so this is what is causing this anger. And sometimes it's not always us, sometimes it is the other person who is a jerk, who is an idiot, and who is, giving you these bad feelings. So those are also moments where you should know how to cut that connection, or how not to continue that connection if that other person is continuously giving you those bad feelings or treating you badly. That is also in a way a reflection of yourself. Why would you stay in an abusive connection, even if it is a mere friendship? The only reason you would stay in that connection is because you are used to being treated badly, maybe by your parents or caregivers, and you had to stay in that connection for your survival. But now that you're grown up, you have a choice. You don't need to stay in abusive connections. So, there are many aspects to our emotions, to our feelings, and it's not wise to just escape it all and say, oh, I'm only going to think positive, I'm not going to allow a single negative thought. Because when you are escaping your own thoughts, feelings, you don't even know who you are anymore. You lose your authenticity, you lose your true persona, and you come across as fake, or you start a relationship with your fake personality, and then slowly, you cannot hide all your life. When your true self starts to show up, this person feels deceived, cheated by you, because now you are a totally different person from what the other person saw you at the beginning. So that relationship breaks up. So, it is so important to be authentic and to express, not in a violent, destructive manner, uh, our anger and frustration and everything, but in a more controlled, processed, creative manner. You can become an artist and you can express your anger through art, through dance, through music. You can express your grief, your sadness, your pain through, all these creative channels. Or just to yourself, stay with it, and it will leave you eventually, and you will emerge as someone more clean from all these limiting beliefs. But you have to be there for yourself when you are having those difficult feelings, and not escape yourself. Cradle that baby inside you, that inner child which is crying out for your presence, your attention. So this adult you, this mature adult you, can look at this inner child, and you have the wisdom and the perspective now that this child didn't have. That child, had a survival threat or whatever, didn't feel validated, and created certain beliefs which are not true anymore. But you now, in this adult perspective, you know more, you know better. So you can be there for this child and, heal this inner child, be present and listen to its, you can have a dialogue with yourself. Imagine this child sitting in front of you who is telling you all the complaints, all the frustrations that you as a child felt, uh, you know, at your younger years, and have a conversation and reassure this child that I will always be there for you. I will take care of you and I will never let you down. I love you. And this is a true exercise of self-love. So I hope you found this video useful, and next time when you have an angry moment or you are going through difficult emotions, don't be too quick to bypass it or judge yourself. We are all humans and we all have a range of emotions, and it is only healthy to look at them and deal with them rather than dismiss of them, because when we dismiss them, they go into the collective shadow of humanity and then come out as psychopaths, violence, illnesses, diseases, and stuff like that. So if you have any questions or if you want to know more about this, let me know your feelings, thoughts in the comment section, and maybe I can use that as inspiration for more future videos. Thank you and have a great day.